I'm here this morning at Fort Walla Walla. This is the third location of the fort. The first was downtown in Walla Walla, Washington. The second was at the Walla Junction area, which was called Slab Town. And then this location, this beautiful park. She's huge. I'm in an area here where the bridge crosses over to the campground, and I've hit this area pretty good and found lots of clad. So we're right here by a playground, and we're gonna hit this morning and some more of the parkway where I found lots of clad. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna play around with both detectors this morning. We're gonna do it first with my sharper image, and then we're gonna go ahead and try with the old White's Electronics. There it is. Good old bottle cap. Well, I'm moving on to another section of the park because I've done this real good. I just wanted to see what that signal was. Knew it was a bottle cap. Anyway, we're gonna go over here and see how it goes. This parking strip area here is frequently visited. We got lots of park benches out here, and I've been wanting to get over here in the shade and work this area, so we'll see what happens. Of course, good old aluminum can brought up by a gopher. I don't know, they had some big convergence out here over something somebody threw away. Nice piece of aluminum. Oh, I can't read it, I ain't got my glasses. A dime, some foil. Ah! Get the heck out of here. Here's a quarter. 25 cents. It's not silver, but it's a quarter. Well, that does it for my 30-minute morning detect. And I'll be seeing you guys later. Alright, so I was out here for 30 minutes and got some aluminum, an old tab, a bottle cap, just some foil, and I found a quarter. It's pretty beat, you can't even see a date on it. And a dime, and a zinc penny. Not bad though. Have a good one. Alright, so let me tell you about it. Dorsey Baker was one of the first people to show here in Walla Walla. He was a merchant. He sold mercantile goods to the gold diggers that were out here mining throughout the area in Idaho. And he came here with his brother-in-law and started the first bank, Baker Boyer Bank. And he started building a train from Walla Walla to what was called Slab Town at the time, which is now called Walla Junction. He started building this little train, and the investors were a little upset because he was having a hard time and it was failing, and so the investors were wanting their money back. And in the meantime, he had built this bank up and was selling goods to the miners, and the miners they were happy with the guy. You know, he would hold their gold. He had the largest safe in the area. He would hold gold for him, and anyway. So in 1877, well, the story goes that his train was robbed on its way to Walla Junction one day, and a good couple saddlebags of gold was stolen from the train. And I went back and did some research and discovered these fellows had gone to his office there in Walla Walla at the depot area, and he was upset that day. He had just lost a daughter to diphtheria, and he was having problems with his investors, and he just wasn't in the mood to talk that day. And the fellows went outside and were hanging around outside, and they heard some talk about gold being loaded on the train, so they sat and waited for the train the next morning when it left the depot, and they jacked it down here in Tucson and robbed the train of the gold. They emptied the case that had all the gold in it and ran off. Now, people have told stories and there's different versions, but I found this version that had a lot of truths to it, and so I tracked down all the little truths and discovered that in 1877 he actually was converting 12,000 gold coins to treasury, which he would have been doing in Portland, Oregon. So it would have gone out here, like they said, shipped on the train out to the steamboat, and shipped on to another train line and off to Portland, where it would have been converted to cash. And this cash would have paid off some of his investors. So I found the document hidden away in the archives at the Penrose Library, and it pinpointed a date, and from that date I pinpointed the train leaving and pinpointed the exact dates and times that the story told of the steamboat arrival and all that. So I felt there was some truth to it. But what I discovered was that instead of going back towards Walla Junction, they came back the way they came, because Walla Road is in Walla Walla near the Blaylock Orchards, and the reference to Walla would have been in Walla Walla, a couple miles west of the old fort, which would have been at Fort Walla Walla at the time where we just came from, not out at Walla. So yes, we've got some conflicts. There's 3 different port locations, and I'm on top of this gold. I have a spot right out here where I think it's buried, and I'm working on those permissions. Anyway, let's go take a look at the old bank. Well, I'm here at the Baker Boyer Bank in Walla Walla, and I've got permission to show the pictures here. This one's Frank Boyer. Him and Dorsey Baker together, they built this bank. And here's Dorsey right here. He's quite the character. I've done a lot of research on this fellow, and sorry I can't get a good picture of him there, his painting, but this is Dorsey Baker, and him and his brother-in-law Frank Boyer, they built this bank, and I'll tell you some more about it later. You can see that the bank is really old. The facade, it's one of the oldest Walla Walla buildings that we have. There's some really neat designs around the top of these buildings. We have some really fancy building design, and these pillars are just awesome. These are 2 neat pillars. But this is the Walla Walla Baker Boyer National Bank. Well, what really narrowed it down for me was I was researching the story about the gold, and Dorsey Baker only owned the train for so many years. But in the story, there was a volunteer fireman, which actually, when I researched it, this was the Tiger One company that sent out their volunteer firemen to ride along on the train with the conductor. So this narrowed it down to 2 years for me, which allowed me to go into the archives and find the document that has a specific date, which was the day before the train robbery. So, and in the archives, I discovered in his ledgers that only one time he didn't document the weight of the train, the weight that he put on board the train, and this gold, 300 mysterious pounds, undocumented. And I'm pretty sure I've got it. I discovered that the train ledger held some clues, and and I found that document where the 12,000 gold coins are being transferred to Treasury. I looked right away into that. I got right back into those train ledgers and found that the very next day, 300 pounds of undocumented weight were added to the train. And this, I mind to tell you, this was the only time in the history that Dorsey Baker owned the train that he didn't document the weight. So I'm pretty confident that I've pinpointed the date of the robbery, 1877, and that I've got a good lead on where that gold lies. And right now, though, I'm trying to get permissions to actually go dig. So